Hi, I want to talk to you about a concept called the closing moment. Do you ever see a movie where they stop the scene and then the cameras go around in 360 degrees and you see that scene from all different angles? That is the closing moment, okay? You have to kind of live in that moment because that's the difference between the people that make money in sales and the people that don't make money in sales. And you'll see this so clearly. We're going to study the closing moment. Here's how we know it's coming, okay? The sales process is as follows. You ask great questions. They answer the questions. You understand their needs, their wants, their desires, their problems. You give a great presentation. Your presentation, every element of your presentation, as I describe in other materials, every element of your presentation ties back to what they needed, what they wanted, what their problem was. You've shown them how you're going to solve the problem. You've generated interest, right? Oh, wow, this is really going to solve my problem. But customers, in order to make a final purchase decision, everyone in the world has to ask questions. Why do they do that? Because psychologically, the questions allow them to get more and more comfortable with the decision to move forward. They're going to move forward, but I still have some questions. What about the warranty? What about after the sale? Can I return it if I don't like it? All these questions. What about this? What about the interface? Whatever you're selling, they're going to have questions about it. Who's your company again? I've never heard of you. Whatever their questions are. Questions are phenomenal. Those are a sign of interest, okay? They're interested. They're closable. Are you going to close them or not? Here's the thing. They've asked questions, and in my mind, I've answered all of their major questions, and I now am going to close this conversation into a sale. So what happens is I answer the last question. Now, the last question, what does that mean? Well, that means that they've asked all the good questions. Every customer has basically asked the same questions. Now we're done. I mean, you may have more questions. I'm not going to ever stop you from ever asking another question, but not right now. Right now is my job. We're going to close the sale. So you ask me a question, and I say, that's a great question. Let me cover that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're at the closing moment. I've addressed all of your questions. Now here are 3 things that you can do at the closing moment. The weakest salesperson answers the question and then says nothing. So that was a good question. Let me address that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you've created a vacuum. So what happens is the customer, they've had all their questions answered. They were ready to buy, but now there's a vacuum, and it's called a control vacuum. So what happens? You don't control. They come in and they say, hey, this is great information. We're going to think about all this. You've given us everything we need. We're going to give you a call back tomorrow and let you know if we're moving forward. Or we're going to think about this and, this is great, but, today's not really the day, so give me a call next week. Or, hey, you're a really great salesman. You really explained it very, very well. You've given us all the information we need to make a decision. We'll get back to you tomorrow. Okay? So you answered the last question, you got to the closing moment, and you didn't say anything, and the customer rushes in to fill the control vacuum and takes control. They're not doing it on purpose. They're not doing it because they don't like your product. They're not doing it because they weren't ready to buy. They're doing it because you just did nothing, so they came in and controlled the conversation. The second type of response after you answer that final question is to then intentionally give the control back to the customer. So if you hear yourself saying things like, well, they ask a question, that's a really good question. Let me address that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What other questions do you have? What do you think they're going to say? No, that's pretty much covers it. Yeah, we'll get back to you tomorrow. We'll think about it. We'll get back to you tomorrow. Or what do you think the next step is? Or in your mind, what do you think so far, right? You're ready to close. Don't ask them questions. You're closing, but most salespeople right at that point turn back control by saying, well, what do you think? Or can you see yourself moving forward? Or do you have any other questions? Or what do you think the next step should be? Right? That's giving back control just at the wrong time. When you ask questions, it's great. You want the customer to engage. Now it's closing time, and what you've done is you've gotten right to the closing moment, and you've given control. Sometimes you'll say nothing and they'll just take control, but when you give them control, that's really even worse. Those are two things that weak salespeople do. Strong closers, and I want you to be a very strong closer. You are psychologically aware that, oh, this customer is interested. This is great. We're moving forward. They're asking really good questions. That's the third question. I'm about done. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to close after this question. And they ask a question, and I say, that's a great question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I close. Let me tell you 4 or 5 closes. You can use the permission close. You can use the list close. You can use the here's what happens next close. You can use the A-B choice close. It doesn't matter what close you use. Learn all 4 of them or learn 1 or 2 or 3 of them. It doesn't matter even if you only have 1 close. Now's the time to apply the close. That was a great question. Let me address that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With your permission, I'd like to go ahead and get started. That's the permission close. The permission close. With your permission, I'd like to go ahead and get this started. Now, I have an address on file, 123 Willow Street. Is that address still accurate? Great. We're going to be able to deliver that on Tuesday or Thursday, or we'll set up a start date, or I'll have my guys come over, whatever your next step is. Okay? So I answered the question, and then I applied a close. Hey, with your permission, I'd like to go ahead and get this started. I have this address on file, 123 Willow Street. Is that still good? Perfect. I'll have it there, and you're closed, okay? Or you can use the list close. Hey, that's a great question. Now, let me address that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, let me make sure I have all the details of this correct. Now, we're going to ship it to this address. It's going to include that. We're going to change the color to that. We're going to, give you the platinum membership. We're going to upgrade the warranty. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Did I leave anything out? No, you pretty much covered it. Great. All right. All I need is your signature here and here, right? Or all I need is a credit card. All I need is a 10% down payment. All I need is to start the application, whatever your close is. So it's the list close or just the A-B choice close. Hey, that's a great question. Let me address that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, are we going to be shipping this to your office facility or your warehouse? And I simply give them a choice. Would you like to upgrade to the platinum warranty or just stay with the standard warranty? And if they choose one or the other, we closed, okay? So it's so critical. This is the single most important thing you can learn because you do a great job. Once you answer the last question, don't stop and let them fill the vacuum. Don't ask them what they want to do next or what they think. Close it. Pick a close, pick one of 3 or 4 closes and learn those closes and use the close right at that closing moment. I guarantee your sales will soar if you learn to understand the dynamics and the psychology of arriving at that closing moment and then maintaining control into the close, okay? Hey, I hope that was helpful.